What's going on, Bottom Line viewers? It's Mitch here of The Bottom Line View with another top 10 NFL video. In this video, I'm going to be counting down the top 10 wide receiver duos that are the most difficult to contain across the NFL going into the 2017 season. Whether they're new or experienced as a tandem, in this video, I will rank what I believe are the top 10 wide receiver duos in the NFL. A simple criteria to follow at home would be skill, production, and how they complement each other, and also their impact on their team's offenses. Let's get right into the list. Starting off at number 10, I'm giving you the Redskins tandem of Terrelle Pryor and Jamison Crowder. Obviously, this is a new tandem. Terrelle Pryor broke out last year as a big receiver for the Cleveland Browns, their go-to guy. He leaves Cleveland to sign a one-year deal with the Washington Redskins, and he's going to form a tandem with one of the most underrated and best slot receivers in the game in Jamison Crowder. As you see, their combined numbers: 144 receptions, 1,854 yards, and 11 touchdowns combined last season. Pryor being on the Browns, Crowder being on the Redskins. Now Crowder's going to make that next jump of being the number 1 or number 2 target in this offense for the Washington Redskins. Terrelle Pryor coming in to help replace what was there in Desean Jackson and Pierre Garçon. And I believe Pryor at this stage in his career is better than both players. Pryor, I think, gives a rare playmaking ability as well as a great complement to Jamison Crowder. Both these guys are very good after the catch. They're going to be very difficult for teams to stop because they're both good in the medium to long range, but also can catch a short pass and take it the distance. I like both of these receivers. I think they complement each other well with Pryor's size and Jamison Crowder's quickness. This is going to be a duo that will scare NFL defenses across the league in 2017. At number 9, I have Julio Jones and Mohamed Sanu. Now, this might be a little bit low for some people, but you would be surprised how many great tandems we have in the NFL right now. But Julio Jones is really the guy that makes it. They had 142 receptions, 2,062 yards last year, and 10 touchdowns, and that was on one of the best offenses in NFL history. I really don't see those numbers quite being the same, to be honest with you, due to the fact that I don't think the Falcons will have the same quality offense as all-time great standards. Those guys are great. Those guys are good. But what I really look at this offense, I look at Julio Jones being the guy. And then, the duo isn't really talked about in the same way as some other duos are. It's Julio Jones, and then it's everyone else. So Mohamed Sanu is the next complimentary receiver. That is the reason they're only at number 9, because Mohamed Sanu isn't really known to be in a duo with Julio. It's Julio and then Sanu. But still, if you look at the combined numbers, one of the best duos in the league. Julio, an absolute monster. Sanu, no slouch himself, a pretty underrated receiver on the outside in the Atlanta offense, and he really had some bright spots last year. So I think Julio Jones and Sanu, a good duo, just more of a Julio Jones show than a duo, so that's why I have them at number 9. At number 8, Michael Thomas and Willie Snead. Now, this might be a surprise to some people, but Michael Thomas and Willie Snead put up some pretty spectacular numbers last year, despite also having Brandin Cooks in the mix. But this year, it's going to be Michael Thomas and Willie Snead as the combo in New Orleans as the 1-2. Michael Thomas, the number 1 receiver. Willie Snead, the slot receiver. And with 164 receptions, 2,000 yards, and 13 touchdowns last year, you should see those numbers only improve with Willie Snead really getting more time to shine in this offense without Brandin Cooks being there. They did add Ted Ginn, but I feel like these are the two go-to guys for Drew Brees. These are the guys that he trusts. Michael Thomas developing into one of the best young receivers in the game. You add in the fact that there's one outside receiver, one slot receiver. I really like that dynamic of a combination at wide receiver. And I think the Saints on a great offense will only improve their numbers here with Michael Thomas and Willie Snead. And I see this duo maybe even rising in the rankings next year, but it's a solid duo nonetheless at number 8. At number 7, I have Mike Evans and Desean Jackson. This is another new combo to the list. Mike Evans, of course, had a breakout, huge, ginormous season last year, really putting himself in the range of maybe a top 5 receiver in the entire NFL. Desean Jackson, we all know what he can do. It's bombs away to D-Jax every single game, and This is going to be a combo that is going to be scary down the field. More than any other combo, arguably, in the NFL, this is the duo that I would fear the most down the field. You have the combination of Mike Evans' ability to catch the ball in points where nobody else can really catch it. And then you have Deshaun Jackson's speed and long speed ability to break down these corners and just run straight past them. Mike Evans is very strong. Jackson is very quick and fast. And I think that's a very good complement of receivers for Jameis Winston. They had 152 receptions, 2,326 yards, and 16 touchdowns. Those yards actually rank first for the combination for last year. So that's a pretty good combination right there. And if they put together their powers, hopefully Deshaun stays healthy. And I'm looking at a duo that could take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to the playoffs next year. At number 6, I have Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders. If we're talking about consistency, this is the duo that shows the most consistency year in and year out. Ever since Emmanuel Sanders arrived there to help Peyton Manning get over the hump and get that Super Bowl with the Denver Broncos, Demaryius and Emmanuel have been one of the most consistent, best complementary pair in the NFL. Thomas and Sanders' numbers last season: 169 receptions, 2,115 yards, and 10 touchdowns. Now, the 10 touchdowns number seems a little bit low, and that had to do a little bit with the quarterback play and the offensive play itself. They didn't have much of a run game, and the thing about Thomas and Sanders is they are the receiving game. They are basically the passing game, because they don't have a third target. Really think about it. Who is their third target in the passing game? That's something you really have to respect with Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders. They get more coverage really devoted to them than any other duo in the entire league, because they don't have a third target to go to. They don't have a tight end. They don't have a receiving back. They don't have a slot receiver that a lot of defenses really pay attention to. It's doubles on Demaryius and Emmanuel all game long, and that's really the way it's got to be. But I love Sanders' ability to really run great routes, and his fearlessness coupled with Demaryius Thomas' really athletic ability and his speed is a very good combo in the NFL for the Denver Broncos. At number 5, I have maybe the most impressive under-the-radar duo of last season, but it was Jordy Nelson and Davante Adams. 172 receptions, 2,254 yards, and 26 touchdowns, which is far and away the best touchdown total of any duo on this entire list. Nelson and Adams, obviously, it helps to play with Aaron Rodgers. The reason why I'm only at number 5 is for 2 reasons. First off, they've only played 1 season together, and the second reason is Davante Adams really was kind of inconsistent last year, but at the same time good. So, I mean, I had to put them at a good ranking, but at the same time, I wasn't really sure, because Davante Adams has been really inconsistent throughout his career, and I'm not really sure if he's going to follow that up with another good season or not. So, I'm not sure how much of it is Aaron Rodgers. I'm not sure how much it is of Davante Adams, but I like this duo. The numbers speak for themselves. Jordy Nelson is a top-tier receiver in this league. Davante Adams developing into his own as a outside receiver and a target for Aaron Rodgers, and obviously being on the Packers helps. But these two as a duo are very dynamic. They score a ton of touchdowns, and that's the ultimate goal, scoring points. At number 4, I have Amari Cooper and Michael Crabtree. They had 172 receptions, 2,156 yards, and 13 touchdowns. This is the second year for this duo. This past season was their second season together. Cooper and Crabtree have really developed a good chemistry and a very even complementary game for the Oakland Raiders. It's almost scary how equal their numbers are from season to season. Cooper really is probably the better receiver overall, and he has probably the more higher ceiling and the higher potential to break out and be a top-tier receiver. But Michael Crabtree's been consistent his whole career, even in San Francisco on an offense that wasn't very pass-heavy. Crabtree was still a good go-to guy for that offense. Take him to Oakland. He helps Cooper get, easier coverages, and Crabtree had an awesome season last year, scoring a number of touchdowns. This duo scored 13 of them. Cooper maybe could get higher in that range and scoring touchdowns, getting in the end zone, but Cooper is more of a guy that's going to move the chains. He's the reception guy. He's the big play guy. He's the yard maker. He's the after-the-catch guy, while Crabtree is the great possession receiver. Big body that can kind of muscle guys out of the way and catch the ball in the end zone. This is a very good complementary tandem of Cooper's quickness and Crabtree's size. I like it here at number 4. At number 3, I have Julian Edelman and Brandin Cooks, the new duo for the New England Patriots. This is a duo that has a ton of quickness. I don't think there's any quicker duo in the entire league. Their side-to-side and shiftiness is going to be very scary for the NFL this season. Brandin Cooks, of course, one of the fastest, but also one of the quickest receivers in the league. And Julian Edelman, one of the best at that shuttle drill, and also one of the best slot and outside receivers in the league. Edelman, a go-to guy. Cooks, kind of that big play guy. 176 receptions, which was the most of any tandem last year. 2,279 yards and 11 touchdowns in 2016. Brandin Cooks adding to the Patriots scheme. It's going to be interesting to see how they use him. I expect him to kind of become that #1 receiver. They still have Gronk there, but Cooks just has so much ability to play slot, to play outside, to go deep, to go over the middle, and it's going to just give a new dynamic to this Patriots offense, because you always have to be scared of Cook's speed down the field. That's going to open up Julian Edelman underneath more than ever, and I just really like this tandem. It's a great complementary tandem of Edelman's possession and after the catch ability, and also Brandin Cook's ability to take the top off of defense. This is a great tandem. I'm looking forward to seeing them play together at number 3 for the Patriots. At number 2 is a tandem we haven't seen in an entire season, Antonio Brown and Martavis Bryant. But the last season they played together, they posted the best numbers of any team on this list. 186 receptions, 2,599 yards, and 16 touchdowns. Brown and Bryant are part of the Killer Bees and part of the Killer Steelers offense that's going to be taking place in 2017. Martavis Bryant looks focused. He's not suspended. He looks healthy. He looks ready to go. Antonio Brown, still one of the best receivers in the league, arguably the best. And this is another duo very much like some of the best on this list with just great complementary styles. Martavis Bryant still has great speed down the field, but he's also really big. He's about 6'5", so he's able to go down the field and almost in a Randy Moss kind of fold. Obviously not as good, but the same kind of body type. Antonio Brown, that quicker, shorter receiver that is going to catch first down after first down after first down, and he's really the reception guy and the go-to guy. But Martavis Bryant, the guy that can go down the field and make that huge play and amazing catch down the field. Brown can do that as well, but that is really when Bryant and Brown are at their best, when they're able to play their roles successfully. You also saw Antonio Brown against some of the better defense in the league kind of disappear last year due to the fact that he had double, triple coverage. Like in the AFC Championship, it was Malcolm Butler, Devin McCourty. Do you really expect Antonio Brown to still get 100 yards against Malcolm Butler and Devin McCourty while Martavis Bryant wasn't there and wasn't able to take that double away from him, because now you have to deal with Bryant going down the field. You have to deal with his size. So it's a totally different matchup of the quickness and the size dynamic of Bryant and Brown. It speaks to the numbers. It speaks to the success of the offense. And I think this year they're going to take the league by storm once again at number 2. And at number 1, I have the new tandem of Odell Beckham and Brandon Marshall. Yes, Odell Beckham and Brandon Marshall. First off, I think this is going to be the season where Odell claims his place as the best receiver in the league. He's obviously been in the top 3 conversation for the past 2 years, but I think this is the year where he really takes his crown. Brandon Marshall, we saw 2 years ago, he had 1,500 yards and nearly 15 touchdowns. Last year was kind of a down year for him. Obviously, being on the Jets, one of the worst teams in the league with a terrible quarterback situation, did not help. He was also banged up a lot, but you're looking at Brandon Marshall, who's arguably a Hall of Famer, along with Odell Beckham, who's a future Hall of Famer and arguably the best receiver in the league. This was really a no-brain situation for me, especially due to the fact that Martavis Bryant hasn't played in a year, but 160 receptions, 2,155 yards, and 13 touchdowns also does a pretty good job of complementing their skill set. I don't even want to know what the numbers would have been if I added up 2015 Brandon Marshall to Odell Beckham. But if Brandon Marshall has that form left in him, this is going to be the scariest duo we've seen maybe in a long time. These two guys are fantastic. And what I love about this tandem is not only is Odell going to now have a chance to face less double teams because of Brandon Marshall, but this is going to help the Giants in the red zone. Brandon Marshall is a red zone killer. He scores regular touchdowns. He's a guy that really can go up and catch that ball on the fade. He can body people out even regularly in the middle of the field. Odell Beckham has that ability like no one else to take the ball on a slant and make it into a touchdown. This is a very good duo with Marshall's size and his ability to catch the ball consistently and in the red zone, with Odell Beckham's ability to take the ball and take it to the house. Very good tandem. They seem to be very good friends, and I think it will pay off this season for the Giants. These were the top 10 duos in the NFL at the wide receiver position. Let me know what the next top 10/top 5 video for the NFL should be in the comment section below. What is the best tandem in the NFL? I believe it's Odell and Brandin. Let me know if you disagree or agree with me. It's Mitch of the Bottom Line View. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Peace out.